Lunch with Pippa Hudson
on CapeTalk.
Join the conversation.
Now, we didn't get to see the total solar eclipse earlier this month. It simply wasn't visible from this part of the world. But on Friday, we get our turn, our own taste of the celestial action, if you like, because a partial lunar eclipse, you could describe it as a near total lunar eclipse, is going to be very visible indeed from South Africa. Set to begin just after 4:30 a.m. and it's going to reach its maximum at about 13 minutes past 6. But to explain in detail what we'll see and how to get the best out of that experience, it's a pleasure to welcome via Zoom this afternoon Michael Kosch, who is Chief Scientist at the SA National Space Agency in Hermanus and Manager at the Space Research and Applications Group specifically. Michael, it's great to have you joining us. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Can we start by asking you to give our audience just a basic explanation of what is actually going on during a lunar eclipse?
Yeah, that means that the moon is going behind the Earth from the point of the view of the sun. So the moon is actually going into the shadow of the Earth on the night side. So when it goes into the shadow of the Earth, obviously it's no longer illuminated by the sun. So it goes dark or partially dark, depending on how far it goes into the shadow.
Okay, thanks. Now, this one I've seen described as a deep partial eclipse, or some using the phrase almost total eclipse. I understand something like more than 90% is going to be obscured. Is that correct?
Yeah, from South Africa, about 93%. Elsewhere, North America, maybe 96%.
Okay.
So it won't be completely eclipsed, but there'll always be a very thin sliver to one side that's still illuminated, but the great majority will be covered.
And Michael, is this a relatively common or rare event? How often do we get the opportunity to experience events like this?
They're relatively rare. I would say they certainly occur every year, but somewhere different on the planet. So from South Africa, it would be maybe every 10 years, thereabouts. Okay. But somewhere on the planets, there will be an eclipse, either solar or lunar. But not everybody can travel to see one every time it happens.
Absolutely. We did see the frenzy of travel to northern Spain for the solar one earlier this year. But
yes.
At least for this one, it's coming to us, if you like. Now, Michael, let's just talk through in some detail what we're actually going to experience on Friday morning. You've given us the big picture of what's going on in the skies. But what is that going to look like, and what will we see from what time until what time?
Well, I believe that the partial eclipse will begin in South Africa around 3:30, 3:23 South African time. And obviously there'll be a small bite out from the moon, and that will progress to get bigger and bigger till its maximum, which is about 12 minutes past 6 in the morning, where it'll be about 93% covered. And then it will obviously then start to uncover over time. But it will not be completely uncovered by the time the moon actually sets, which is around 12 minutes past 7 in the morning. So this is an early morning phenomenon. Yep. The moon will be setting. Obviously, then the sun will be rising around the same time, so it will be anyway hard to view. That's what we can expect.
Thank you. I do want to say to the audience that if you have questions around the eclipse and viewing thereof, you're very welcome to send a question for Michael on WhatsApp 072 567 1567. One of our listeners already doing that, Michael, asking about what color it will look like because they've heard it's going to be quite red. Is that correct?
Yes. So the illuminated part of the moon will remain white as we are normally familiar with. The dark part of the moon will be red in color, but that's really due to the dispersion of light from the sun into the shadow that the Earth casts. So the moon isn't changing color. It's just that the color of the light that's illuminating the moon due to the shadow of the Earth is not the same.
Okay.
So it'll be reddish in color for sure.
All right. Now, if you want to see this, so take note, you're going to have to get up quite early on Friday morning. If you want to see the entire thing, Michael, it's a 3:20 odd start. But in terms of the best place to see it from and what we should be looking for in a viewing site, any suggestions?
Well, obviously, you want to have no clouds, so that's a good start. And then the other one is you want to try and minimize, you don't want to be looking into lights. So, street lights, car lights, house lights, you want to be looking into the dark sky. That will give you the best opportunity. So try to find some high point, a flat roof of a building, a hill or something along those lines where you're not looking directly into some powerful artificial light source. Right. And then you should have the best possible viewing conditions. But usually the big problem with these things is clouds, although I think we're probably going to do quite well this time.
My phone is telling me it's going to be cloudy on Friday, but I'm hoping that my phone is going to change half a dozen times between now and Friday, as it usually does. So fingers crossed we might have the right conditions to view on Friday morning. Important to emphasize, unlike solar eclipses, you don't need to worry about not looking at this one directly. Michael, can you explain a little bit why that is?
Yes. Well, the brightness of the moon is, of course, hugely less than the brightness of the sun. So the photon flux, the brightness of the sun, is so enormous that by looking directly into it, you can actually cause permanent damage to the eye. Because remember, the lens of your eye is focusing the light onto your retina, and you don't want to burn out your retina. In the case of the moon, the brightness is so low that, in fact, that cannot happen. So you're perfectly safe looking directly at the moon. Whether it's full or an eclipse doesn't make any difference.
Okay, so no need to go and find fancy glasses or any kind of special tool. You can look at it with the naked eye quite safely. Okay, that's good to know.
Absolutely.
All right, so just to emphasize again, it's a partial lunar eclipse, although a quite substantial partial lunar eclipse. Over 90% of the moon likely to be obscured to the naked eye on Friday morning. Very early hours, starting from about 3:20 onwards, and then reaching its maximum at 6:12 or 6:13 a.m. So if you want to see the absolute sort of main event, that's where you need to be in position. And Michael's given us that advice on where that position should be. Michael, I hope lots of people are going to be excited enough to get up early to watch it, or won't already be on their way to work and unable to watch it on Friday morning. But in case anyone listening is going to miss it, are there any other major sort of celestial events that we should be looking out for that will be visible from Cape Town before the end of the year?
Not that I am aware of.
Okay.
So I don't believe that's going to be the case. Obviously, they will occur again in the future at irregular intervals, but I'm not aware of anything coming up in the next few months.
Okay, so in other words, do make the effort. If you want to see something special, this is the one to watch, and it's the last one for a while, in short. Michael, thank you so much. We appreciate your time and expertise this afternoon. All the best to you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Pleasure to have you on the show. You too. Michael Kosch, Chief Scientist at the SA National Space Agency in Hermanus, where he's manager at the Space Research and Applications Group. So once again, 3:23 a.m., the start of the lunar eclipse, and this is on Friday morning. The maximum effect to be experienced at around 6:12 or 6:13 at thereabouts. And then the moon is expected to set at just before 7:10 on Friday morning. So we won't really even get to fully appreciate the last kicks of the eclipse, but that's the timeline you're looking at. Try to find yourself an elevated position without too much bright light around you. You need a clear view of the western horizon, ideally, and no need for any kind of special artificial gear to look at it. You're perfectly safe to experience it with the naked eye.